Hey Kernels, this weekend, Mickey 17 makes its debut in theaters. Should you go check it out? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, so I just got home from seeing Mickey 17, and this was a movie that I had kind of anticipated for a while, just strictly because of the director's history, being Parasite, and we all know how good that movie was. Now, here's the thing. This movie, I didn't know if it was going to come out this year because there were a lot of delays happening about it and everything, but obviously it's out, and I'm here to talk about everything, good, the bad, everything. So I'm going to split this video into two parts. There's going to be a spoiler and a non-spoiler part, so kind of use the time codes down below to kind of help you navigate based on whether you've seen the movie or not. And if you want to check out my other movie reviews, I'll probably have a playlist description, I think, so you can check that out. And let's review Mickey 17. So starting with the non-spoiler stuff. The movie does have a pretty cool premise. If you've seen the trailers, it's just about a guy, or it's like about a company that clones this man named Mickey. That's all I'll tell you because I don't want to spoil it too much for you, but that's essential premise. This movie takes that premise and offers both like a slight dark side to it, but also making light of the said situation. And at times it can get a little bit like morbid with like how much they joke around about it. Probably the two best things about this movie, at least for me, were like just the character performances in general. I think Robert Pattinson does a great job as Mickey, although I will say it's a little bit different than his usual roles, you know, that he's played in the past. So just kind of know that going in, especially the voice. The voice kind of threw me off. But it's kind of nice to see him in a different role. I also really loved Mark Ruffalo in this role. I'm used to seeing him obviously as the Hulk, but he's been in a few other projects where I wasn't quite sure he fit in those. This movie kind of solidified him in something else outside of the MCU that I really liked. So I'm kind of glad that he gets to shine here a little bit more. One of the first things I said kind of walking out of the theater is that this movie felt very immersive. And not that like it's like Dune or Avatar in that way, but it felt just very like, I kind of forgot like it very much introduces you to the concept of this world very fast. You kind of get involved, and it just kind of starts like encapsulating you in their world. And it doesn't really stop. The last thing I'll say is just kind of be ready for a weird movie. There will be weird spots all around the movie where you'll kind of just be like, huh? And you just kind of have to accept it and keep moving forward with it. All right, now let's talk about the spoilers. The movie again follows Mickey Barnes, who signs up to be an expendable. And basically what that means is that because they made these like copy machines that can like print humans, right? Or I guess really anything, maybe. But anyway, they make it illegal on Earth, but it's not illegal in space. So they send him out to space, and he wants to get out there to get away from like some mobster, so that he ends up signing the contract, not looking at it, and he is an expendable. The beginning of the movie kind of follows him going throughout like the first 16 copies of him, you know, checking out diseases, them testing different planets and all this stuff, until eventually they get to Mickey 17. And that's kind of where the movie kind of picks up, where he is supposed to die on this one mission, but these creatures that find him end up not killing him. And he makes his way back after they thought he had died, but he doesn't. So then him and his new clone that they have just made for him now are both alive. And that is a problem because, as they establish in the movie, there's like the whole law of multiples, and that is like you cannot have that. You cannot have the same person clone walking around at the same time. Only one person can be walking around. They can do it when the other person dies, but that's just the rules. So a lot of the themes in this movie reminded me, if you guys have ever seen Don't Look Up, it's a movie with Jennifer Lawrence, Timothée Chalamet's in it. It's kind of like it's like a doomsday movie mixed with like I don't know, like it's kind of weird, but it's the theme of that movie and like the people who are in power reminded me so much of like how this went and just how they kind of treat the people in power. At the beginning of the movie, Mickey kind of starts off as a nobody. He has almost nothing to his name, and that's really who he is. He ends up finding this girl on the spaceship that he really likes, and that's all great. But what makes this movie, what kind of I enjoyed watching was watching Mickey like go from this nobody to actually being the sole reason why, one, they end up surviving this one attack, and two, they end up getting the old leaders that are like Mark Ruffalo and his wife out of there in replace of a new leader that will be good moving forward. You heard me mention that this movie, you know, it blends the comedy with the kind of weird side of having clones. Just kind of know, like, there's going to be funny parts where like he dies a funny death. But then there's also parts like the one part he's not even dead yet, and they're just like, oh, well, you know, we already have him in the bag. And you'll hear people like, they almost like toss out the meaning of life. And it gets a little morbid at some points, but you just kind of have to know like that's the movie's tone, and that they're gonna rock with it the whole way through. Something I really want to point out that I ended up noticing about this movie are the little creatures that they end up kind of like trying to mash with. They're trying to inhabit this new planet, and they have these creatures that kind of look like really hairy armadillos. That's the best way I can describe them. And there are like a colony of them. There's so many of them. They end up like surrounding the ship, right? And the leader, Mark Ruffalo, his first thought is to like hurt them. To me, that says something about how they treat new discoveries. For example, I'm sure there was a time when the cloning thing was new, and now they have these things called expendables. Like, to me, it's like this universe found a way to take any new discovery and just like society it in the way that like it's being used for a bad purpose, or something bad is done to said thing. You heard me talk about Mickey 17 and 18. Well, at first our dynamic is very like, I'm gonna kill you and you can't be alive if I'm alive, obviously because of the rule that I mentioned. But as the movie kind of goes on, they become more like brothers, like almost like twin brothers. That's what it felt like. At points I forgot that they were literally the same person, and it just felt like they were two twin brothers like working together. And that's just kind of how it felt, dynamically wise. The last thing I'll say is kind of something I mentioned in my non-spoiler part is, just know going into this, there are going to be a lot of weird moments where you're going to sit there and go, wow, that was a weird moment. And it's gonna happen quite often, and just know that it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It is going to happen. So hopefully that won't sway you from seeing the movie. So yeah, guys, that is my review of Mickey 17. If you guys want to check out my Letterboxd ranking, you can check out my link tree in the description to kind of see where this ranks on my movies of 2025 so far. I have a whole list on Letterboxd if you want to check that out. And be sure to stay tuned for next week, as I will be reviewing Novocaine. I'm actually going to an early screening this weekend, so I'll definitely be checking out that and trying to get a review out as soon as I can for you guys. So I will see you all in the next video. Peace, Kernels.